You talked about the fact that obviously some of that informed decision making, that balancing of the risk management case, requires a level of maturity that's perhaps not as common in the customer base we'd like to see. I think certainly previously we've seen people lean on suppliers, vendors, partners to try and help address some of that gap, with the kind of caveat that there's normally a specific kind of incentive for a certain shape of answer. But where do you really see some of that full leadership and kind of maturity starting to originate from filter out? Because we typically look to organisations and things like ISO standards to say, like this is a green base, like this is a green standard. But in these more emerging areas, where do you think those areas of development and real maturity will come from?
I'll be broadly controversial and say, look at government. Government has embraced the cloud. It has a cloud-first policy, public cloud policy, and has since 2014, I think. And so that has introduced a series of thought leadership exercises, and you can look at that in a lot of different ways. But the one that I'm probably most familiar with is, the 14 cloud security principles that NCSC has, which basically the things that you should care about in order to understand how your risk is managed, and whether that's encryption or governance strategy or legal requirements or personnel controls, and understand how they fit your framework. So that kind of thing I think is really, really super important. So I'd have to turn around and say I think government is actually quite a good example of some of that thought leadership. I think other places, I would say the tech industry, hurrah, here we are, we actually kind of live and breathe this stuff on a regular basis. But that doesn't necessarily mean that my risks are good risks for you. And you need to understand what I consider to be a good risk is balanced by the fact that I have 8,500 security professionals and spent $20 billion over 5 years on security. That's the way I manage some aspects of my risk. Your risk tolerance might be different because you have a different level of investment and security professional profile than I do. So that's, so I think I'd say look to derive the investments that you can get from providers who are literally putting their business on the line of delivering these capabilities in a competent way. Understand what it is that you're going to get from them in terms of controls and in terms of compliance.